Can I get a good amen in this house?
Welcome back to another episode of the Good Amen podcast, and we're doing a little recap.
Little recap to the year.
And we have Lauren Kennedy with us.
LC.
And so I think if she's here for the recap episode, that means it's like she signed on officially. She didn't even know that she signed on.
Hey, we got some new things coming up. New things coming
up.
Yeah,
new things coming up next year.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a fun episode. These episodes are always tend to be my favorites because you just kind of get to reminisce and think about the year that was.
That's right.
And sometimes
it
gets so fast, like things happen. Like we were just looking through.
True that.
Oh my God! Stop bringing that back.
I am. I've been
he
doing
has
that.
been saying that a lot lately.
True
like,
that.
That's
True
90s.
that.
Isn't that 90s?
True that. I mean, I don't know, but she said I said it about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You said it and like you were serious, and you said
I did say it, and I
joke,
was
you were
completely serious,
yeah.
and she made complete fun of me.
True that.
And she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was
cringe.
like, "I'm bringing
Cringe.
it back. I'm bringing this back,
It's
and
coming
I'm
back.
working at it, and I'm telling you, I'm dropping it, and I feel like it's beginning to catch traction."
Oh, it will after this episode.
Absolutely. So true that.
True
It's
that.
like on
That's
the
what
Mean
you're going to
Girls
name the
movie.
episode.
True that.
True that.
Wow.
I did talk to a college student the other day, and I used the term dope, and they were like,
yeah,
that's like the oldest thing I've ever heard anybody say. And I was
That's
like,
awesome. That's
I was like,
classic.
But True Dat's even older than
True
that.
that. True that.
Yeah, I
Well, I
think
mean,
it's
I'm older
90s.
than you.
But that means it's coming back.
It's coming back.
It's coming back
It's
faster
coming
than
back for sure.
But there's no comeback from this episode now, as we have gone
Already
into
started.
it.
We've
But
already
but no, it's been a crazy year. It's funny, we do this and then the year ends, and it's like, man, all that happened
Yeah.
in this past year. We had some pretty awesome episodes, some really cool guests. Obviously Lauren was the best guest.
Yeah,
No
always.
offense to anybody else.
Always.
But
for the ratings.
we're gonna fly in here. But what stood out? What was some of the episodes or that stood out, or some of the conversations we had? What did you guys think?
Wow. Well, unsurprisingly, the one with Cliff
Yeah.
Godwin,
Yeah.
ECU baseball coach, that was so good for a lot of reasons. I
Mhm.
think it's always, I always get surprised about how willing people are to come on here and talk at times,
Yeah.
just especially if they
Yeah.
are more in the public eye. I think that takes a level of bravery and vulnerability that people often don't get to see that side of them.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciated his honesty about his whole journey and where he's at now. And it's been really neat to, see him be a part of Open Door. And that can look a lot of different ways in the future. But when I listened to it probably twice just because there's so much there that he shared. And getting to see the human side of somebody who is in the public eye.
Yeah, it's huge.
To me is that's really valuable. So that one was really good.
Yeah, I remember us being in that episode.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And I mean,
Yeah, I think you walked out and you were like, I cannot believe how much he shared, and you were like blown away by it.
We sat here looking at each other several times, and Jake and I can look at each other
That's
and know
right.
what each other's thinking.
That's
That's
right.
how close we are. That got weird. True that.
Okay.
True that. But we were sitting here, and I mean, he just was very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it was authentic. And to see all that God's done in his life, and he just got engaged here recently, and he made mention of that in that podcast, and then the reach and how many people listen to that and were ministered to, and that testimony was really pretty cool to just be a part of. I mean, it wasn't something that we did. I mean, we really just listened.
That was the easiest episode to be a part of.
Yeah.
Because it was literally just what God was doing in his life, what he's doing through that baseball team at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't say hardly anything.
No.
He just,
I mean, we're both
he just-
extroverts.
Yeah. So to shut us up is a hard thing to do. But
And like we both walked out of here and we were like, we need to send that to
Yeah.
him before it plays so that he can really know. I mean, because when you get going in here, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Did I say something I didn't want to? And we wanted to cover him if that
right,
was true.
exactly, yeah.
And he listened to the whole thing on a plane ride to he was playing somewhere. They were
Yeah.
playing somewhere, and he texted me. He's like, "No, I love it. Let's go."
Yeah,
I
it was
like,
such a
"All
cool.
right, let's roll."
That was such a cool one. Of course, you
really
had Parker on that one as well.
Yeah, Parker.
That was like almost 2 episodes in one because,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we've had Parker on twice, but
Yeah.
to hear we had him and his dad on,
Yeah.
which was really cool.
Aw,
And then to
I
hear
love Dr. Bird.
Parker's whole story from the different perspectives
And really
was
how
super
God used Parker.
cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's just Parker's testimony and his life. It's just amazing to see how God's taken that kid and a tragedy and used it in an influential baseball coach and the community and the family and his team. I mean, that's really, I mean, Parker now is leading the FCA
Yeah.
huddle, part of that, him and someone else. And so, I mean, it's just been a wild journey to watch and to see all that God's doing
The
in
impact.
that.
Yeah.
We also had Carter on this year.
Yeah. Carter was awesome.
Yeah, he just invited me on his podcast. I'm gonna be on
Oh,
his
look at that,
this
full
week.
He's
circle.
got one now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God pod.
God pod.
Carter was really, it was really cool what God was doing in my life because we recorded two people, Carter and Mike Taylor, the same day. And both of those guys were just, and Carter specifically, it was just what God was doing in his heart and his life, and just the like passion that he had
For Jesus.
and just like, you know, and this is the dude who won, didn't he win like player of the year?
Yeah, I
And
think
like
so.
just was
Yeah.
like, had an unbelievable year, got drafted, like just an amazing year. And his whole thing was just like, man, Jesus.
Yeah, he loves some Jesus, man.
It was,
Like,
it was
there's-
awesome.
There's people who love Jesus, and then there's people who love
Yeah.
Jesus. And
Yeah.
he has a depth and loves the Word, and I mean, this is what his God Pod is all about.
Yeah.
And then Mike Taylor, you know, his testimony and just hearing his story
Yeah.
and what he does now with young men and just what God is doing in his life. That was pretty amazing to hear all that. So,
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool for me. It just stirred something. It was just kind of like a fresh reminder of like the passionate pursuit of God, like just being in a place where it's like, man, like, you know, we get doing stuff and busy with, you know, church life, whatever, and it's easy to forget like that there's times where, you know, you're pursuing Jesus, and that's such a sweetness and a
Yeah.
realness. And the timing of that, it was actually right leading up to youth camp, and it was just really special for me, for God to stir that up and kind of reawaken some things going into youth camp, and so that was really cool, really impactful moment for me personally. Yeah,
And Hunter.
Hunter, man, oh my goodness,
We love Hunter around here.
that feels like a million years ago.
I
When Hunter was on it.
Yeah, now he's got that syrup brand, right? What's it?
Well,
Yeah, Strange.
he's
Strange syrup.
yeah.
He's what is he? I mean, he's out gallivanting around.
that dude,
This whole thing.
Traveling the
who knows,
world.
Traveling the
man.
world.
I'm glad we got him
With
when
his
we did, 'cause
mustache.
I
otherwise-
know. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
He's such a creative mind. I always enjoy listening to anything he shares, just the way his mind works and the way he was sharing. I think it's been a while ago now. I think the way that he hears God and just the way that he, you know, translate things. And it's just interesting the way the way his brain works.
Mhm.
No, and that was a deep episode too.
It was,
Like,
yeah.
we talked about all types of stuff
Yep.
on there, but I mean, Hunter, we've known Hunter for,
Oh my gosh. A long
I mean,
time.
probably 30 years I've known Hunter. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just been neat to see somebody creatively like that be used by God, and his family's precious. But I mean, he is the most creative person I know, for sure.
Mhm.
You know,
The way his mind works is he just views the world differently.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that conversation and just knowing Hunter, to see how he views the world differently and how he like allows God to
Use it.
still lead it
Yeah.
and use it. It's
Yeah.
super
And
cool.
his curiosity.
Oh my
I
goodness.
think
Yeah.
I love his approach to things, and even with his interactions that we've had with him here working with the communication team. I remember the first conversation I had with him, and he just asked question after question after question after
Yeah.
question, and that's really his approach to life in general,
Yeah.
That's good.
which I think is always great,
I
a
love
great
it.
trait to have. Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Mhm.
The creative spaces we had Carly on too.
Oh, my
we
girl,
had
Carly.
Carlita.
I
Car-
love her.
Carlita's
Carlita,
way.
that's right.
I love her.
And she was, man, that was a really cool episode too. Just
Yeah.
to, you know, we dove into some of the more difficult conversations at times, and she
We
was
did.
real honest.
Yeah.
We talked about homosexuality a
Yeah,
lot on that
yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
And her heart for that community and all people really, but in her
Yeah, in
space
her
with
field, where
design
she's at
field,
with
yeah, that was
Yeah.
really,
Wrestling
What I
with
love about
attention.
Carlita is that she's always authentically her.
yeah,
You know,
Mhm.
and I mean, she
Mhm.
has a ministry background, so she served in ministry, full-time ministry for several years, but now she's in this creative space. And, we had a lot of creatives on this year. Now, when you go back and look at it, but they're using their creativity in an evangelistic way, and it's really, really cool. And she's just, her and John are dear to our heart. So, yeah. So they're sweet people. Talked about sex this year.
Yeah,
Damon and Sarah.
That's right.
The Elliots.
Damon and Sarah.
The Elliots, the spicy marriage with a side of sriracha.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's always a good topic.
Well, that one was cool too because they have such a. Y'all have been friends with them forever.
Oh yeah.
And so to hear y'all guys' story, that was one of the things I got a lot of feedback was the friends when y'all talked about just being friends.
Really?
And and just being friends and I think that's something that's just society. I don't know if it's from technology or what it is, but I think there's a hunger for friendships that are real and aren't just surface level, and y'all talked about that, which was really cool.
Well, I think we've learned in the last probably few years. I mean, it's been a few years because of what we do, the need to have a small circle, and not because you're trying to isolate from people, but because you want to live intentional with people. Yeah. And I think that we've learned that and how fulfilling that is to like be deep with just a few. Not you, and in what we do, it is weird, and so there are a lot of people because, we do things like this or we speak from a stage and try to be authentic and share stories or whatever, they think they know you in a deep way. But that can also lead to like very shallow relationships or one-way relationships. Yeah,
exactly.
And so I think we've really discovered what it means to have true, authentic friends, and friendships require time. Yeah. That's just, you can say you're friends, and people will say, we pick up whenever we see each other like we never left or whatever. But the truth is, if you're really going to live life with people, you have to spend time with them. So. It's important. So that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, that one was good. The double episode, because then of course we did talk about sex. Which, who doesn't want to talk about sex?
Who doesn't want to talk about sex?
Sex,
sex.
True that.
Yeah, true that.
True that.
Look, she caught it. She's catching it.
We're rolling.
Did you see? It's
that was
catching.
an intentional segue.
It's catching.
She said, "I'll say anything to get
Trying
you
to get back on the track."
Oh, nope. She said it.
True that. Nah, it was really cool, and then we had the oversight elders on too.
Yeah,
it was one of the last ones we did.
That
oh
was
my
one
gosh,
of our
that's probably
favorite.
the most important one, I think.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, I just think in the season of all that we're seeing in the American church, I just think it's important for our church, and I've had a lot of pastors reach out about that episode specifically, just about how meaningful that was, and for them to take the time to just sit down and talk through how they hold us accountable and how they live life with us and their heart behind it. It brings a lot of safety to us and a lot of accountability and a lot of life and a lot of joy. Couldn't imagine doing it without them, and wouldn't want to.
Yeah, so. And I think it was just unique to have an opportunity, like you kind of mentioned too, just being behind the curtain a little bit. Yeah, I think it's easy to see you guys, from the stage or from a platform, but there's a lot more depth and richness to this. There's a lot more open-handedness than maybe you would see, unfortunately, in other places, churches or otherwise. And it's just a good example of that, of being open-handed with your lives.
Well, I intentionally shared it with our staff because I know a lot of people know that have been on staff. They have a general idea that we have elders and oversight elders, but I think it's so important for everybody, especially our staff, to know, like, who are these people? What is the process like? Because I want it to be full of integrity and not a mystery to people.
Yeah, and I think we do have an opportunity to coach or talk at a lot of churches, know a lot of churches, and truthfully, our situation is unlike any church that we know. We got the model from our pastors at Trinity Fellowship Church, but even our model is a little different than theirs and how it's activated, and so it truly is unique, and I mean it's not an overestimation that I don't think Lauren and I would do this without. Like I think that now we've experienced it and understand the safety in it, the accountability in it, the love in it, the joy in it, and the boundaries of it. Yeah, I mean, I have zero desire to do that without those safeguards in place, because it's wild out there.
Yeah, and those two guys are just awesome. I love hearing Mark's voice, and he's, for our church people, he is every Sunday going around to our volunteers and people and just saying hey, and so I love giving him a chance to kind of share some of his thoughts and heart. And then obviously Clark. He's always. You
worked with him.
Oh, I worked with Clark. He's the man. I love Clark. He opens his mouth and it's just, you better listen. Like he's got something, anointed to say. So it's always good having. And then of course Elliot, same. So those are three guys who were just, I loved having a chance to have them kind of be a little bit more front and center, because they're typically a little bit behind the scenes, on the back side of it. But there is so much just richness there and wisdom there, and
knowledge of us. I mean, they've just seen us grow up. They've known us they've known me.
Have we grown up? Were we there?
I don't know.
True that.
But they have absolutely been there for a lot and seen it. And I mean, just the history is good. And before we were pastors, they knew us, and that's very healthy. So very good. So yeah, it was good, man. It's a good year. Really solid.
2 years in. We haven't crashed the train yet. Haven't been canceled yet.
To the good old amen.
Yeah. Not canceled yet.
Not canceled, not that I know of. I mean, I'm sure some people have decided not to listen.
People could cancel us. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, we wouldn't know. We're not that big of a deal.
Yeah, we just keep rolling,
Yeah. So.
But what's next? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I think Lauren and I felt like we're going to do something new next year, and so we're going to continue the good amen. It's going to continue to be about probably interview some people, have some good talks and things like that. But Lauren and I are going to launch our own podcast on marriage, family, and leadership. And so that's what it's going to be, specifically just conversations between her and I, and just feel like there's some things to unpack for our people and just the season of life we're in, for couples and people who are raising children our age. We don't know things that we don't know yet, but there are some things with a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old that we've experienced and walked through, and so we want to help people with that and just have some very honest conversations around some things. So we sent something out to the staff about a month ago, just asking like, hey, what are some things that you would want us to talk about? And so then for all the people who are listening, why don't you email us and just say, hey, these are some things that I'd love for you to talk about, because we're going to start that next year, and it's just going to be raw, honest conversation, and really excited about that. And so so we have signed her to a long-term contract.
That's right. Yeah. So you got tired of the back and forth. You said,
well,
look,
I'm just splitting two big breaking news things this week. Juan Soto signed with the Mets for $765 million, and Lauren signed
so many thoughts on
undisclosed amount.
Yeah, signed for an undisclosed amount.
But it's up there. It's up there. It's probably maybe more. We don't know.
No. You just don't know. You just don't know.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's that. I mean, the idea of kind of kicking that around, I think, is really awesome. I think that's one of the things this year that was really cool, is just to be able to hear more from you.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know Renew has been going on, and that's very. And that's awesome, but that's very kind of interview based, and a lot of that, and so just an opportunity to hear from, you, like, we hear from you all the time, which is great.
Way too much.
But from Lauren, there's a lot of, wisdom and just, I think it's very valuable to hear what you have to say. I mean, I worked for you, so
you did,
and I'm still bitter about the fact that it's
you
not.
You still
so,
do.
No, yeah, it's true. But no, I'm excited about that.
I am too. I work better with questions instead of me trying to figure out what people want to know and hear, because I'm always surprised by what I get asked at times. Even with, I can't remember, this was probably a year or more ago. Yeah, it was, because it was at the women's retreat that Gina did a year before last, and just having a conversation with a staff member, a female, and she was like, well, what direction do you think you're going to go when you share? And I'm like, oh, gosh, I don't know. I think I might go this direction or that direction. And she said something, and she was like, well, I'd love to hear you talk about that. And I'm like, really? And so I always get surprised by what people want to know. So I think it would be, which even with the feedback that we got from staff, I was like, wow, y'all really, y'all have some great questions. Some of it I have no idea how to answer because I just don't have the life experience.
Right.
But in other times, I think sometimes I feel like because I'm and I can be an internal processor for sure. I think about things so much in my mind. I'm like, they don't want to hear me talk about this anymore because I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of thinking about it. But we still get asked some of those same questions as far as, boundaries with ministry and family and some of that stuff. I'm like, man, okay, we can for sure talk about that. So I think it'll be interesting to hear from people about what they'd like for us to share about, talk about what we did wrong, what we wouldn't do again, or I don't know.
And there's a lot to that. So, but I just think probably the thing that we're most passionate about is our marriage and our two boys and helping in any way we can people have a fulfilling, godly, life-giving, imperfect marriage.
Yeah.
And just try to, and I think just being honest about where we're at and what we've journeyed through and that we don't have it all figured out, but we have committed to fight for each other and with each other when necessary. And we're two firstborn.
Passionate firstborn.
That's right.
It gets interesting.
Yeah, and it gets interesting. And so our hope is honestly to take down some of the facade that people maybe perceive and just kind of have honest talks about the hardship of raising kids. And people might not always agree with us. That's okay. But these are things that we've learned and we've done wrong and we're still trying to figure out. And, it's a journey together and we get to do this together. Not everybody is called to that. Not everybody does that in like the leadership roles that we do. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing that we've really positioned our hearts to do or try to do well is this thing called marriage. Because as long as we're both alive, we want to have a good one. Yeah. And I think we're just passionate about it. I think we're just passionate about our church family, our church, hearing that voice and learning, or not maybe learning from us, but just being in it with us and knowing that it's okay to be in it. Yeah. And so we're really excited about that and be fun, be new, something new. So it's going to be an added thing. And Jake, you're going to be along with us for the journey. So
we're going to roll. Yeah, we'll be
man.
There.
So we're going to get it done. And then Good Amen, we're going to do some cool stuff with that next year. Yeah. With the content and things like that are coming out. And so we're going to continue to try to resource people, but just bring people along on the journey. And so I would say, like to everybody out there, you can really help us out. I'm sure the social media team will figure it out.
Yeah, we'll do. I'm sure we'll do a Q&A post or something like that. But also, if you want to, I'll put it in the show notes. But podcasts at Open Door Church. If you have any questions, you can send those in, and we'll get those over. Yeah, and plan some of those things out. But it'd be great. Yeah, I mean, that just the possibilities, where it goes could be fun. But also, I mean, just loving y'all interacting is always fun.
Well, I think that's the thing is
tell them what you're gonna say in our first.
We know what our first episode is.
Okay. We don't have a name for it yet.
Yeah, the first thing we're gonna talk about is like when you get married. It's like what's mine is mine. And what's yours is mine. That's Lauren's mentality. That's Lauren's mentality. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. Yeah. And so we're going to talk about those types of things and just some little.
How you like to steal my skincare?
How I do like to steal Lauren's skincare, and how some of the vows don't apply to her. No. So those are things, but I think it's just a lot of times people try to show a part of marriage. So either we talk about when it's a complete disaster, or we talk about it when we're over everything. What we just want people to do is get into it with us, and let's just see what it really is. And
that'd be awesome.
And figure it out. And we've had some rough journeys, and God's done a lot, and indeed. True. So it'll be fun, man.
That's exciting, man. I'm looking forward to it. That'll be next year. Hopefully, we can get some things rolling with that as quick as we can. No guarantees. No launch date yet, but we'll definitely
stay tuned.
2025 for sure. Good Amen's not going anywhere. Renew's not going anywhere. So this will be just an add-on, which
But I think Lauren
exciting.
probably will not be on the Good Amen anymore. I think that she's completely signed to the marriage side of things. She's
Wow.
You got tired of sharing her, and you're like, I'm doing my own thing.
That's exactly
He said,
what
"This is-
happened.
Lauren is
That is
done with
exactly what
Ellen."
happened.
Did you hear that? We just got canceled.